Do you agree or disagree with Hamilton's statements or ideas of the judicial branch being the least dangerous?
Well, first, in order to understand this entire concept of this idea, you have to know that there are three branches to the U.S. government: the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. Each branch of the United States government has their own duties to uphold. The executive branch, for instance, appoints judges and they write bills. Said bills are later on passed to the legislative branch, where they could either veto these bills and send it back to the executive to rewrite or edit, you might say. And then if the legislative branch decides to pass said bill as law, then it goes to the judiciary branch, where they vote it on whether it's constitutional or unconstitutional. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with Hamilton's statement about the judiciary branch of the United States government being the weakest link.
Why is it important to have a judicial branch different from the legislative and executive branches of the government?
The judicial branch of the United States government needs to be independent from the other two branches, simply for the fact that they need to be able to look at something objectively.
Why is it important to have a judicial branch of a government be independent from the executive and legislative branches of the government?
How does this structure strengthen the separation of powers, you ask? Well, first, I think that the separation of powers actually strengthens the government. Everything that the government does is built on this protocol. There's three branches. There's all certain protocols that have to be done. Votes have to be taken. They have to be ruled on whether constitutional or unconstitutional. And then it gets sent back around for a second time. The separation of powers is what strengthens the government. The government doesn't strengthen the separation of powers.
How high should the walls be between these three branches?
At this point in time, the walls between the three branches of the government that, let's say, allow or does not allow them to pass a subject matter from one branch to another, I would say is about the optimum height. Because if they're any lower, ridiculous laws are going to get passed. So many laws, it's going to be crazy. And if they're any higher, nothing's going to get passed. And then that's not going to help anyone either.
What happens when a judge is impartial or unfair?
It would be hard to judge, because if one of 9 people is still impartial or unfair, there's still 8 others to help make a decision, and that's why there is a number of 9.